Hey, yo. Hey, check it. Motivational, inspirational, sometimes confrontational. If you're sinking, educate, uplift, help everybody listen and utilize their gifts. Yo, hey, it's Raymond, your host of the Radiant Power Podcast. Let's get into the episode. Hey, everybody. It's your host, Raymond, from the Radiant Power Podcast, sending everybody out radiance and sun and positivity on today. Where I live is actually a warmer day, which is great because winter is coming. In the news as of late, we've been dealing with Israel and the Palestine situation, and it just broke my heart. I really wanted to jump out there and say something quickly about what was happening, and I didn't do it because I realized, how much do I really know about this situation where I can actually speak on it? I think on the basis of us all being human, watching terrorist events unfold is unsettling. I remember exactly where I was when 9/11 happened. And it's said that every generation will have one of those moments. For my parents' generation, it would be Martin Luther King Jr. and his assassination, or JFK and his assassination. For us, my generation, it's 9/11. And I remember I was in the military at the time, and I was on leave at my mom's house. And this is before the day of cell phones. Tells you how long ago that was. And I remember my mom's phone kept ringing. And I was saying to myself, I'm home on leave. Why would I answer the phone? I'm vacationing, I'm chilling. And the phone literally rang about maybe 30 times. And on that 30th ring, I knew something was wrong. So I picked up the phone, and it was my mother. And my mother said, "Hey, are you all right?" And I kind of laughed it off and said, "Of course I'm all right. I'm chilling. I'm on vacation." And she said, "You don't know." I said, "No what?" She said, "Turn on the TV." And when I turned on the TV, my jaw just dropped to the floor. And the rest is, of course, history. And we know what happened. And of course, people are heralding this time in history right now as the Israeli 9/11. And I mean, one atrocity is not greater than another. I mean, assuming to all individuals and parties that are involved, that particular thing is serious to the people that are involved. So we won't play my demise or my shortcomings or my battles or issues are bigger than yours. That's not what this is about. But I wanted to take some time and kind of talk about it because I think it's important. My disclaimer is that I am not siding with any particular group. The Bible says that the first to present his case always seems right. And so as I realized I was listening to the news, well, it was very easy to say, hey, what Hamas did is heinous, reprehensible evil, because it is. And there is no qualms about that at all. What they did is evil. And, call a spade a spade. It is what it is. It is a terrorist organization, and I do not support terrorist organizations. Hence, what made 9/11 all the more egregious is that it was carried out by terrorists. People actually willfully, skillfully planned that. And that's a day, as one of our former presidents said, that will live in infamy. So here I am today, and I'm just talking to my listeners, my viewers out there who may not know how to think or approach this situation. And I would caution everybody on any side of the aisle that you stand is to just listen. Leaders should have the ability to listen to people. whether it's an opposing view, a nuanced viewpoint, you should at least have the decency as a human being to listen to other human beings. And I think that in society these days, there's a breakdown in communication. Why is that? I don't know. But there definitely is a breakdown where you cannot have civil disagreements. So, and I think that multiple things can be true at the same time. So one of the things I came across as I was trying to understand this Israeli-Palestinian conflict was, where did this come from? Where did this originate? And of course, I was reading in the Bible from Genesis through 1st, 2nd Samuel, just trying to get a real perspective on it. And what I'm hearing, not necessarily in the Bible specifically stating, but what I'm hearing from other, I guess you would say, religious scholars or people with wisdom are saying that Ishmael, which is the brother to Isaac, Ishmael was born first to Abraham. And remember, Abraham, his name was Abram, and it became Abraham because God said he was going to make him the father of many nations. And he did just that. And he bore a son, first son, Ishmael, actually not to his wife, but because his wife said, hey, look, I can't have kids right now. I'm not having kids. I'm not having children. So why don't you go have relations with my maidservant? And so he did that. And that produced offspring. It produced a son. His name was Ishmael, actually his first son. And of course, Abraham's wife, Sarah, she didn't like that. And she was hard on, I think the lady's name was Hagar. And she sent her away. And of course, an angel visited, or the Lord visited and said, no, go back. So she went back. Hagar went back to where Abraham and Sarah was, and they lived there. They stayed there until I think their son Ishmael was about 13 years old, which is around the time frame that she actually had a child. And remember, this is like when they're in their late 80s, 90s, and I guess child bearing was different back in the day. So she ended up having another son, and his name was Isaac. And of course, she was frustrated, still looking at this other 13-year-old saying, hey, this is my son now. What are you doing over there? And maybe he was being mocking or scoffing. I don't know what he was doing. But whatever he did, it was such to the point that Sarah, again, said, you know what, we got to get rid of you and your son because this is my son, Isaac. And of course, the Lord said, hey, don't sweat it, Abraham. I know you love your son, Ishmael, but I'm going to do what I'm going to do through you. Keep my covenant, make you the father of many nations through this particular son, that son being Isaac. And so what the talking heads have said, what I've heard them say is that the father of the Arab nations comes through Ishmael. And of course, Jewish lineage comes through Isaac, which if you think about it, and you think about it at its very genesis, very origin story, you would then say many, many years down the road that basically this Jewish-Palestinian conflict is basically countrymen fighting countrymen. That at the end of the day, they are all from the same bloodline. That be Abraham's offspring. So what are we fighting about? What is this really over? And again, there are people more articulate in their enunciation and pronunciation and delivering this topic, whereas I might not be. But even with the wisdom and the knowledge that I have, there are some fundamental things that we can do. I already said and listed one of them, which is to listen to other people. And my goodness, have I been listening to other people? I've listened to a myriad of shows, podcasts, read articles, watched YouTube videos. I think the last one that I watched was Acho, Uncomfortable Conversations. And he had a conversation with a Palestinian woman and an Israeli woman, and they both spoke from their point of views. And even as they're speaking from their point of views to women, women typically generally excuse me, and generically speaking, give birth. And it must be heart-wrenching for a mother on either side of the equation. At the end of the day, an equation means that there's an answer, an equation. 1 + 1 = 2. So if you take one mother on the Palestinian side and one mother on the Israeli side, and then 1 + 1 put them together equaling 2, both of them have experienced loss. That means their pain is equal. Loss is loss. Death is death. As I was doing research, I wanted to know, what about this land is so important that would have people going back and forth? And did this really start in the 40s, Great Britain? And I understood something as I did this research, that this land, this territory, has been being conquered by several different empires. You have Romans, you have the Ottomans, you have Persians, you have the Greek, you have Great Britain, you have like people, and the powers that be that want to lay siege to this territory. Wow, amazing. I was looking at, I think, a LinkedIn article, and there was a comment made that, hey, if we want to really talk about this actually being the Israelites' actual real homeland based off of Abraham and whatever was excuse me, whatever was happening back in that day, then we should really look at giving American land back to Native Americans. Or how about Hawaiians? So this story is multifaceted and has layers to it. One of the things that has been brought up is that the Palestinian people or Palestinian Authority rejected a two-state solution. Two-state solution saying, hey, we're going to make Israel a state, and we'll also make or give the Palestinian a state, but it was rejected. And I'm not exactly sure why. I don't know all the layers, the intricate details to that. Would that have made sense? And why would they reject it? I don't know. Do the Palestinian people bear any culpability for having a terrorist organization set up shop in their homes and hide behind them, all in the name of, so that they can do their terroristic activities? I don't know. I'm sure that can be looked at and viewed as, you guys should have rooted out Hamas on your own a long time ago. But I'm sure that that's not the full answer, nor would I pretend that it's the full answer. Again, very multifaceted, multi-layered is this situation that we find ourselves in. And a side note to everybody, excuse me, I'm kind of under the weather, so pardon my coughing. But this conflict that's happening, I like to do macro, micro, and look at things. If you're in a family and you have conflict, some people's conflict in their families are so bad, so egregious, that siblings don't talk to each other. People get divorced. Children hate parents. Somebody did something a long time ago, and then there is no resolve. There is no forgiveness. And so to me, this situation is symbolic of what's happening probably in the world as a whole, which is what? Which is unforgiveness. That's got to be what's at the root of it all. Bitterness, rage, anger, frustration, because there is no forgiveness. You know, in the Bible, it says the same measure of mercy shown will be shown unto you. You therefore have no excuse passing judgment on someone else, because when you judge other people, you are condemning yourself. So I'm not here to judge what's happening, What I am here to do is to illuminate and enlighten my, my listeners to say, hey, well, what's going on in our own lives? Anytime you look at a broad thing such as this, that's wreaking havoc and has the potential to start World War III, we all should be taking a personal look at our own lives and our own situations and why we are where we are. Some other things I looked at, I talked about Hamas being in control, them taking control, I guess stealing resources from the actual Palestinian people and using them as human shields. All of these things are dubious behavior. But it doesn't stop there. It gets worse. Who is Britain to give away land? Think about that. All of these people conquered. Persians, the Hellenistic period, the Greeks, the Romans. All of these people conquered this particular area, laid siege to it. And then all of a sudden, Britain, they talk to people, and then they have what they call a mandate, where they say, hey, we're going to give this land to Israel and make this the land for the Jewish people. And maybe that's supposed to happen. But just think about the audacity to go conquer a land and then give it to somebody else. Ooh. And this is what I mean about this being nuanced. And maybe these things are supposed to happen. Maybe this fulfills some type of prophecy. So maybe we are where we're supposed to be in history. And maybe as uncomfortable as it is, maybe it just is what it is. Que sera, que sera. So I don't know. I've heard that word Nakba, the catastrophe, that word being used May 15th during the 1948 war with Israel, where Palestinian Arabs were displaced from their home to the tune of, I think it was 800,000, almost 1 million people. So what I also read, though, was that Israeli people were displaced. And I guess we go back, we talk about all of these people that laid siege. I'm understanding that about 500,000 Jews were displaced from their neighboring Arab countries. So I guess there's enough history to go around. I won't say blame. Again, I'm not trying to not be on one person's side and be on the other person's side. I'm trying to be on the side of what is factual, what is true, and what is common sense. If I had to label this particular episode, I'd call it Think for Yourself. I mentioned Acho, Mr. Emmanuel Acho. I think I said his name right. And they used to have a show called Speak for Yourself. Well, I call this one Think for Yourself, because you should think for yourself as opposed to listening to a talking head. And the talking head, what I mean, could be CNN. It could be Fox News. It could be that slanted view, that skewed view. And you decide to only side with that particular point of what you believe because it reinforces what you believe. How about taking a step back and actually hearing what other people have to say? People talked about an open, an open air prison and 2.2 million Palestinians being forced into the Gaza Strip. And like, how do people live like that? And I'm wondering if they actually did settle on a two-state solution, would they then be in control of their own water and electrical grids and resources, as opposed to it being turned off right now? Whereas now you have society looking at this and saying, hey, this is inhumane by killing the water and stopping all transportation in so that the actual Palestinian people basically are starving to death. I don't know. I mean, these are things that we have to look at, though, and things that we have to think about. Another thing that I'm trying to learn is there a problem with when we talk about racism in America and we talk about the experience of black people? Are there Jews that are darker than the Jews that we see on TV? And my understanding is that there are. But at the same time, is there a type of shade discrimination that happens inside Israel? I don't know. And I'm not saying that there is or isn't. These are all things that I'm trying to uncover as I'm trying to deep dive and find out. So I would never get on here and say that that's what it is. I don't know what it is. What I'm saying is that what's happening in the Middle East has caused me to want to do tons of research and listen to tons of talking heads and pundits, listen to the news feverishly, all different outlets, and then start to do research on my own so that I can, like I said, think for myself. At the end of the day, I know that there's a lot of hurting people, and I know that people should receive forgiveness. No matter, I'm reminded in the Bible, it talked about Noah. Was it Noah? No, it was Jonah. He was supposed to go to Nineveh. It's a wicked place. God said, there you go. He said, man, what? You want me to do what, God? I'm not doing that. Not at all. Because he thought, this place is wicked. They beyond saving. And so we have to be careful and think about the things that we're doing if we espouse Christian views. How can we be a light in a dark place, especially in a dark time like this? People on I won't say the other side, I would just say that Palestinian people feel a certain kind of way and probably, based off of what I'm hearing, feel like they are caged animals and can't really do anything. And I'm pretty sure that there's gotta be a bulk of people that don't sign up for Hamas. And if you can't get your hands on weapons and actually defend against that, I mean, imagine the good old USA and imagine January 6th and imagine if those people went through with all of the crazy things that they were doing and then they just decided to take over the government. Well, that means I need to have my Beretta because it's about to get crazy. Now, just imagine that people in the Palestinian land can't do that. And therefore, they are succumb to what Hamas is doing. So it's not fair to just blame the Palestinian people outright and say, well, it's your government. Because they actually had the Palestinian Authority, right? And Hamas overran the Palestinian Authority and said, hey, we're going to take control of this strip. And then, of course, when the resources were coming in, they probably diverted it and used it for their own ill-gotten gain. And now, of course, using people as human shields. So that's terrible. I don't know what else to say about what we see, what's happening and what's going on, other than we should be willing to listen. We should be willing to lend a hand if we can. And so, sure, there are people listening saying, well, lend a hand for who and to who? Well, I'm going to lend a hand to Israel because fill in the blank. Or I'm going to help the Palestinian people because fill in the blank. I can't answer those questions. It's almost like, here we go, vote Republican or Democrat. I don't outright vote Republican or Democrat because I have seen over the course of my existence that Republicans and Democrats both do things that I don't agree with. So I have to look at the issues that are on deck and then make an informed decision. So if you're struggling with what's happening right now, and I assume a lot of people are, I know in my heart it hurts to watch what's happening. Pray about it. Seek wisdom. Seek guidance before just outright not listening to another side. Seek guidance before outright just siding with one particular individual. And I say that with reason, with good reason. So let's just say somebody, Joe, Jimmy Joe Bob. Let's say he's a Christian. Does this then mean that Jimmy Joe Bob can go out and smack some people around just because he feels like it, and then there won't be consequences? Of course, there are going to be consequences. For every action, there's a equal and opposite reaction. Or maybe it's just a reaction. Maybe it's not equal and opposite, but maybe it's just a reaction. I don't know. But that person will be held accountable for the things that they did. And I think that that's what's important, is that nobody gets a pass. No African American, no Caucasian, no Israelite, no Palestinian. Nobody gets a pass. Nobody. Everybody has to walk this gauntlet of who you are and what did you do. And if you read the Bible, you'll see that the Israelites actually loved God and then fell away. Loved God, then fell away. Kind of reminds me of me, or maybe reminds you of you. If you subscribe to that, if you say, yeah, I love God, or if you say, I'm a Christian, yeah, I love God, you know good and well that there'll be days where there are good days. All right, God, I'm rocking with you. Then there are days where, I missed the mark real bad. Okay. So what do you mean? Why am I saying that? Well, what do I mean? I mean that it is possible that Israelites or the government, or maybe they made some bad decisions. They're very possible, because we are all human. So, I can say that being a Christian, do I make poor decisions? I have. Heck yeah. The beauty in all of this, if you wanted to say, what's the light at the end of the tunnel, or the rainbow that will shine, is that I'm talking to you right now, which means that I woke up today. And that means that there's another 24 hours allotted to me that allows me to get it right, to make a change, to do something different that I did before, that I don't have to stay the way that I am or the way that I was. And that, to me, is like the numero uno thing to walk away from this situation, which is don't say Palestinians are bad people, and that, that they're beyond hope, and so we just annihilate them. Don't do that. Don't say the Jewish people are bad, and then we're all on this anti-Semitism thing. No. Don't say that black people are fill in the blank, or don't say that white people are, because look, the truth of the matter is, in every demographic and group, they're going to be bad people. I remember a long time ago, I'll tell you this and then I'll be gone. I remember I was talking to my bishop, and I was very interested in joining the Masons. I was doing research. I had picked up a book. I had learned about how it originated over in Europe. But then I also realized that over here in America, black people, well, we couldn't be a part of what white people were doing. So we had to do our own thing. And, hence HBCUs and our own, the Divine Nine, Greek, or not Greek, but the fraternities, sororities. And I almost lost my train of thought. Why am I telling you this? Because Oh, I got lost. Start talking about stuff, and then I forget where I'm going. Let's see if I can reel it on back. I know why I was talking about my bishop. So I asked her, I said, hey, so should I join the Masons, Freemasonry, or is it evil? Is it wicked? And she told me real simple, broke it down. I mean, it freed me up. She said, in any organization you belong, even, yes, in the church, you're going to have people, they're not really with it. They're not really about it. Think about that. Any organization. I was in the military. They say, hey, you got some dirtbags in the military. Yes. Dirtbags in the church. Yes. Black dirtbags. Yes. White dirtbags. Yes. Chaldean dirtbags. Yes. Dirtbags in the Catholic Church. Yes. Everywhere you go, because we are human, you're going to experience that. So let's not just take a whole group of people and say these people are bad, because I don't think that that's true. I think that God is the creator of all, and he made us, and because he made us and we're made in his image, that he loves all of us and wants all of us to have success and to prosper. And that's what I'm hoping for you all today. So I talked to you a little bit. My goal was to just have a little conversation, say a few things to make you think. And I know I've coughed all through this podcast, but I was a little under the weather, so charge it to my head, not my heart. All right, you all. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.